Late night wars heating up. Jay taking shots at NBC. Watch.
You all excited about March Madness? You into March Madness? Yeah. People talk about who's in, who's out, who's going to be eliminated, and that's just here at NBC. That's not even counting. I have never been in the paper this much. It's fantastic.
But the news that The Tonight Show was being courted by New York State with tax credits was interesting. At first, I was like, yeah, so what? Tonight's a big revenue driver. Lots of states offer tax incentives to entice businesses to their state, and I'm all for lower taxes. But then I broke down the numbers. New York State's offering tax credits, not simply tax deductions, and those are estimated at or near $24 million a year. Using recent estimated ad revenue numbers, I can comfortably say the taxpayers of New York will not only not collect any taxes from The Tonight Show, they will likely dole out tens of millions in subsidies to NBC. So we ask, Bob, wake up, does NBC, Fallon, and the crew of rich fat cats really need our tax money?
Are you asking me that question?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm still caught on.
Okay, well, we'll get right back. Here's the crux of the question. If this deal goes down, we're going to give them free money.
Yeah, I guess the question is, which I don't quite understand, all these states that have enticed people into do production, like Michigan, for example, is it that they really lose money, or is it that they don't make money?
Well, here's what ends up happening, Dana. They say, yeah, we'll give you up to $24 million, but all the economic activity that you bring when you come to the city, they're going to make up for it in that way.
Right, and I think that this screams the need for tax reform. Like, it is so warped that Governor Cuomo cannot get his arms around the fracking issue and issuing final regulations or whatever laws they need so that people could actually build jobs in the state that would bring them a heck of a lot more money than the $24 million that they're willing to basically hand over to NBC. This, to me, was the big, huge screaming cry. We really have got to do something for our tax code because you know what? It does benefit the rich, and this is a great example of it.
It's unfair, too. I mean, as you know, I run a talk show in my basement called Don't Bother Escaping. And I bring in, like, the shovels, the tarp, the gauze.
You work so hard.
I work so hard. I don't get any tax breaks. I bring a lot of business to New York. The coroner is busy.
Yeah, but Greg, this law says you have to have a live studio audience.
Oh.
So who's your audience?
They're only alive for a while.
The voices. The ferrets don't count. I was going to make a joke and say the voices in your head. Yeah. That was better.
Andrea, 2 years ago, GE, maybe 3 years ago, GE 2010 didn't pay any taxes when they owned NBC. Now Comcast owns a percentage of it, whatever, and they hardly paid. On a percentage, it's insane how little taxes they paid. New York's not going to make any money on this deal.
They're not, and you know what the worst part about this is? They actually might end up doling out money. A lot of these tax credits are refundable. Dozens of states do this, so oftentimes they not only pay no taxes, they owe less than the credit that they're getting. So they're actually making money off the backs of the taxpayers. Also, there's the winners and losers point. They do this with energy all the time. They pick an industry that they like. We like green energy, so we'll take it from taxpayers and green energy companies, and we'll give it to the rich. And the third point, if I could just make it, is this got passed because of some lobbyist somewhere. And it proves that you can get what you want if you are connected enough. That's how this got done, because it's a very specific law. It really is just tailored to Jimmy Fallon.
Far be it from me to defend big corporations, as you know, but am I wrong about this? They're building a studio here, right, which would generate tax revenue, I would assume. You have to pay revenue on... you know, and you have to
hire people to build it
unless you fly in from California.
Right, but then it all evens out. It doesn't.
Because it's an annual thing. Is that it?
No. Here, look at it this way. Here's what they estimate the Tonight Show's expenses, production expenses, $80 million. They're going to get a 30% cut off that number. That means, in the form of a credit, Ange, exactly right. $24 million is going to go to them, whether they owe taxes or not. The ad revenue last year was about $150 million or so. If you take that number as $8 or $9 million in tax liability, $24 million in tax credit, we're going to pay them $19 million.
Why do they think it's a good idea?
In refunds.
Yeah, right.
But why would New York even want it?
We called Cuomo's office this afternoon.
Because I think that they favor the Hollywood film industry. And this should be upsetting, especially to you, Bob. If you look at the money that New York spends to sponsor film credits and to sponsor these films in the city, it is the same amount, Eric, you cited, I think, $24 million in your open. That could hire 5,000 public school teachers, Bob.
Oh.
So that's why that upsets both sides.
I prefer the movies. But, you know, the thing is, part of this whole tax credit thing is if you make, you know, as long as you make a joke about Republicans, you get the rebate. If you make a joke about Obama, you get audited. So that's how it works.
Also, I mean, the lobbyist must have some sort of weird thing that he wanted to have a studio audience. Because that was one of the requirements to get the tax credit.
It gets them off the street. You know, when you're walking to work.
What is that about?
Yeah,
Well,
get them off.
We're a TV show, and we don't have a live studio audience. We have two people sitting right there that are related to me, but I don't see us getting any carve-out.
Yeah, Greg, you better be careful. You are going to be audited this year. No question about it. I mean,
You know what my pitch to the producer was today?
What?
Live studio audience for a week.
Can we get the tax credit?
I don't know about that.
This was my pitch. You got to be honest.
Yeah.
All right. Next.